Welcome into the Baseball Insiders. Thanks for sticking it out with us. I am Adam Weinrib alongside Fansided's MLB Insider Robert Murray. And Robert, we're going to do a show that we've been excited to do for many months today. And I thank you for joining me. And I thank everyone in the comments for joining me. But first of all, Robert Murray, how you doing, dude?
I'm great, man. This is already off to a much better start than the last episode because you're actually here with me. And there we go. We love it. Adam's internet is back up and working again. The free agent market has literally not moved at all. So that kind of sucks. So we're at the point now where we got to do season previews, and we got good stuff today. And we're also combining this with my favorite show, and I think Adam's favorite show. I don't want to speak for him, Seinfeld. So it shall be a good time. Adam Weinrib, how are you?
I am good. It's either my favorite show or Curb is my favorite show, but either way, the same person is responsible. Yes, we are going to be doing our MLB preview using only Seinfeld quotes. We are going to eventually we'll predict the divisions. We'll do all that good stuff as we draw closer to opening day. But today, we're using Seinfeld quotes. Like, remember when Bill Simmons was good and he used to do pop culture sports crossovers? We're going to be doing one of those, applying Seinfeld quotes to the current regular season. And we will do a mini free agent update right up top. Of course, we appreciate everybody joining us. I see all the comments. For those of you commenting that my dog might be high again, and that's the reason why the start of the show was delayed, Biscuit won't see your comment, but your other friends with high dogs will, unfortunately. So just be aware of who's reading your comments next time you take pot shots at dogs who eat edibles. And remember, it wasn't edibles either. It was just random weed on the street. But we digress. Before we get into the show, this episode is brought to you by DraftKings. I returned from my exile last show, my black screen frozen attempt at being on the show, in order to do an ad read. This time I'll do an ad read first. If you have not signed up for DraftKings Sportsbook, make sure to get your first bet on them. New customers will get a second chance bet up to $1,000 when signing up with our promo code Baseball Insider. That means if your first bet loses, you will get your full wager returned as a bonus bet up to $1,000. Signing up with our code Baseball Insider not only covers your first bet, but also gets you access to daily rewards and other profit boosts. If you're looking to join DraftKings, go download the app, register with our promo code Baseball Insider to make sure your first bet is covered. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. We will be right here talking to you Monday, Thursday, 3:30 Eastern as we move towards the regular season. We can't wait to keep joining us. If you want to join us too, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up on this video. Hopefully you're here with us for the ride. We'd love to see you, so make sure to subscribe while you're watching. Robert Murray, that was the business. Now, should we get into the fun stuff before we turn it into Seinfeld mode? Everyone's going to be asking about Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell, the whole comment section, regardless of what we do or do not say here. You know that eventually someone's going to be like Snell or like Padres. But while we're here, has anything moved on these Snell and Monty markets? I know everyone's aflame looking at his Instagram follows, seeing the Dodgers in there. Maybe Montgomery unfollowed the Rangers. Can or cannot verify, but everybody's talking about it. So March 7th, 3 weeks to go before opening day, when I'll be in Cincinnati, and I believe you'll be in the ballpark as well. These people don't have baseball teams. Will they have baseball teams by the time we log on for Monday's show?
By the time we log on for Monday's show, my guess is no. I have not heard of anything new involving either Montgomery or Snell. I know the internet has been ablaze about Montgomery seemingly following the Dodgers, but I looked and that does not look like it was anything recent, so I can't think of anything that would be going there. That being said, like the Dodgers, they've spent like $1.3 billion this offseason. I cannot imagine them going and getting Montgomery or Snell. You can never say never with the Dodgers just because they're the Dodgers, but no, I wouldn't read anything into that at all. But as far as any movement with those guys, no. I have heard more teams checking in on like Lorenzen and Clevenger. So, I mean, maybe I think the Red Sox make a lot of sense for both those guys, especially with Lucas Giolito possibly out for the season. I think that's just a natural fit for them. I can't imagine they're going to end up breaking the bank for one of those starting pitchers or the high-end guys, and a Clevenger or a Lorenzen type would make a lot of sense there. Another team that I think makes sense for maybe like a Lorenzen type would be the Giants. But I haven't heard of anything imminent with any of them. Just basically where it's been all offseason. There's teams interested, but to my knowledge, I don't think anything is close. I have been wrong before, but I don't think anything's close there.
Well, the Red Sox, like you said, all of a sudden have to replace what they thought was going to be 180 innings of Lucas Giolito, whose grandfather, Warren Frost, starred in Seinfeld. So connections abound. But when you think you're paying for 180 innings and you're paying $19 million this year and next year, because he's going to opt into that player option, and you definitely don't want to see a 5 ERA, but the most important thing is the innings being eaten. And all of a sudden, you lose all those innings in one fell swoop. Mike Clevenger, Michael Lorenzen, people you can trust to get you 140 high-quality-esque innings suddenly become a lot more valuable. And a player like Jordan Montgomery, who's a high upside number 3 on a playoff team, doesn't make as much sense for a Red Sox team that now is down one pretty reliable starter for this year. Now, if Monty signs a deal with an opt-out after year 1, like Bellinger and like Matt Chapman, he could become a 2025 Red Sox. But this year, I don't see it.
No, neither do I. And I think friend of the pod, Jared Carabas, I think he said it best, that if John Henry did not believe in this team enough to invest in Montgomery, even with Lucas Giolito, it's hard to imagine he's going to end up changing his mind to going and investing in a guy like Montgomery now, when Giolito is most likely out for the year. I think when he said that, it summed up the situation perfectly. And really, I don't expect it. I've been surprised before. I don't expect it. I will give them credit for the extension that they did today, 6 years for $55 million. That could end up looking like a bargain when it's all said and done. I give them credit for being proactive there, but I can't imagine them investing the money it will take to get like a Montgomery or a Snell type.
Well, Jared, follow me back. But that all does make sense and feels like where we've landed. We'll keep updating everybody on anything we know about those two big-time free agents as we draw closer. But now is the time, kick up your feet, to do our official Seinfeld quote MLB season preview. And Robert, I know that you are ready for this. We got some of the best Seinfeld quotes. Try to apply them to teams and players that we are watching as the 2024 season gets underway. And I feel like we got to start with an obvious one. Which team or player is represented by the following quote? They're real and they're spectacular. I'm going with Detroit Tigers lefty Tarek Skubal. For me, the Cy Young hype is justified. Spring training results are spring training results, but the stuff is so crisp, has leveled up following surgery. I would send Elaine into a sauna, arms stretched in front of her, grasping for Skubal's left arm just to confirm it is, in fact, real, because I believe in that man. Who are you going with for this award?
See, that's so good, and it's so like under the radar that I'm embarrassed by saying the Los Angeles Dodgers, because I mean this is the obvious answer, but you look at the Dodgers. I mean their 1 through 3 is Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and then Freddie Freeman, and I mean how many teams can compete with that? And then you have a lineup it's got other really talented players. The rotation a little bit left to be desired. I will admit their bullpen's got a lot of options. It's just that team, it looks like an all-star team. And I would not be surprised at all if they won like 110 games, if not more. I realize how difficult that is. So if they only win like 108 games, don't come at me and all that good stuff. But the Dodgers, they are real. They are spectacular. And they are going to end up being just a force in Major League Baseball and the National League, not only this year, but just for a lot of these years going forward.
And to fans of other MLB teams who were crying that it's unfair that the Dodgers are so talented and you plan on boycotting, let me just say, shouldn't you be wearing the bucket? Our next quote.
Oh, actually, hang on. I thought that said Lloyd Braun for a second. That's what I thought that said. I laughed at first, but yeah, no, I thought That was good.
Now I get it. Yeah, that's another great. That might be my favorite episode, to be honest. I know it's a late season one, so it's not, the most popular choice, but I met Lloyd Braun at a Brooklyn Cyclones game. The actor who played Lloyd Braun, as well as the actor who played The Wiz, and it was one of the best days of my life. So
yeah, that sounds incredible. I did the Wiz do his dance that he ended up doing in the show, or no?
No, he did not do. I'm the Wiz. Nobody beats me. He did not do that.
God.
But
the show is. We're only 11 minutes in, and the show's already going off the rails. I absolutely freaking love it, folks.
We couldn't be further off the rails. He did sign my Fusili Jerry bobblehead, which I have two. If anybody wants one, you know where to find me. What about the "It's Not a Lie If You Believe It" award? Because right now we've already discussed them. I'm going with John Henry, Sam Kennedy, and the Boston Red Sox for the full throttle comment. Because no matter what you think about the Red Sox offseason, and I do think they're in a solid spot for 2025, regardless of what they get out of Giolito. Brian Bayo extension is a nice start, whatever the contract terms of that end up being through the 2030 season, I think. No matter what you think about this Red Sox offseason, they did not go full throttle. They promised they would, they didn't, but now all of a sudden next year, and they didn't have to tell you how full their throttle was until you bought season tickets. And then as soon as you did, they were like, oh, actually, I think we're probably going to reduce payroll this year. So for me, it's the Boston Red Sox because I'm not even anti their long-term vision. That just was objectively a lie.
Oh, it absolutely was a lie. And they walked it back as soon as the comments were made. And it got the Red Sox fan base's hopes like way up. We saw at the start of the offseason, they were connected to Ohtani. They were connected to a lot of these big names. There's still people with that fan base that are hoping for a Montgomery or a Snell type. And no, it was false belief given by ownership. And I feel bad for Red Sox fans. And I've said that consistently throughout the offseason. Like, that is a big market team. It's one of the most historic franchises in Major League Baseball. And yet ownership is kind of treating them like a small market team. And that's just not fair. And I know there's some Red Sox fans who say that I'm trying to get them worked up and trying to talk negatively about the Red Sox and whatever. No, like if you know me, I don't talk trash about fan bases. I don't do anything like that, but I genuinely feel bad for that. Cause like the ownership there is treating them like a small market team. And for the Red Sox, that's not how it should be at all.
Although Jordan Montgomery, if you saw my aggregation yesterday, is looking to join a small market team. So first of all, pat on the back for me, new aggregator king. But second of all, maybe they were just conning the fans and Jordan Montgomery into thinking they were a small market team. So who knows?
Oh, should I dive into mine?
Yeah, go into yours.
All right. So I'm going to stick with the ownership level here. I'm going to go with the Oakland A's and specifically John Fisher. And John Fisher said that he did everything possible to keep the A's in Oakland. And I call complete BS on that, because that is just a load of baloney. It seemed like they've wanted to get out of Oakland for a while, and they ended up saying that they want to go to Vegas. They've obviously had extensive talks with Vegas about doing that. We've seen recent We've seen like recent pictures of what that stadium would look like. And I think what Jeff Passan said, like, by the way, that stadium was hideous. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that was an eyesore. It encapsulated Vegas perfectly in terms of a ballpark. But
it looked exactly like the Sydney Opera House. So like in the Vegas tradition of just putting replicas of global monuments, you got your Eiffel Tower there, you got your Caesar's Palace, and now you got like, I don't know, a somewhat scale model Sydney Opera House with a scoreboard on the roof. I didn't understand it at all. No,
me neither. And I'll tell you, that stadium was just a joke. Well, I shouldn't say it was a joke. I mean, I think that's probably too far, but that to me, and plus, like, as Jeff Passan said, there's a lot of people in baseball who are still skeptical that a deal is going to end up getting done, because just with the A's, you just can expect the unexpected. And to me, I'll wait until it happens, until I totally firmly believe it. And also the comment that they said that they would raise payroll when they eventually get to Vegas, that just, no, that's another one where I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it, I should say. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt. I don't trust the A's ownership at all, and they've done nothing to really warrant it. So that is what I go with, the Oakland A's and John Fisher for that category.
It's a great one. A good comment on the screen from Matan, too, asking who in MLB is a close talker. I assume Heyman, kind of a close talker?
Heyman is not actually a close talker. He is like, yeah, he's very, he doesn't do his social distancing with talking, but he's, it's like proper like distance, whatever he and I are together. It's always good. I'm trying to think of a close talker that I've been with. Honestly, I don't think I have run into one yet. Honestly, like being totally real, not because I mean, if someone was a close talker, I'd call them out right now. But I have not run into a close talker before, where you can, it's because I mean I've experienced that outside of baseball, and that's really uncomfortable. But in baseball, I don't think I've encountered that before. So good job, baseball people, I guess.
Yeah, I can't think of a high talker either, but it is frustrating when you think you're talking to Noreen and it's her new boyfriend, Dan, who, by the way, that always bummed me out. That episode always bugged me because that guy she was way out of his league. Like, that was Noreen's boyfriend, that like 45-year-old bald guy. I don't buy that casting.
No, Mano kicked his coverage, which we always respect that. We love that. For what was his name again?
Dan. This is Dan.
Oh, Dan, that's right. Yeah.
My guy, Dan.
That entire episode was just classic. Matan, good question. I like that. That was a good one.
Great question. The next award is the "You Don't Know My Name, Do You?" award, for which MLB player is an unknown now, but we will scream his name in a moment of realization when the season ends. I don't think any MLB player's name rhymes with Dolores. I tried, but I am going with James Wood of the Washington Nationals, who, I'm sorry, if you're not watching national spring training games, I get it. But every time, it feels like every other day, James Wood effortlessly hits a 420 to 440 foot home run, usually dead center over the batter's eye. You can still get his Bowman's Best autograph rookie cards for $40. I'm sorry, he's probably not going to crack the opening day roster, but he'll be there by midseason. He will challenge for a Rookie of the Year award in much the same way that Ellie De La Cruz did last year, where he shows up on May 24th and week 1 hits 3 mammoth home runs, and you're like, oh, all right, this is the most talented young hitter I've ever seen. That is my winner of this award. Who you got?
I tried finding one that rhymed with Mulva. I did not actually find one, which is unfortunate. By the way, great shout there. Like, literally, this is no joke. I've probably had half dozen scouts reach out unsolicited just to talk about how good James Woods is. And he legitimately looks like a future superstar. And that deal for the Padres, I totally understood it at the time. Getting Juan Soto, that was a deal that Preller really wanted to do, ultimately got it done, but the price was huge. And I think of all the players that they gave up, that was a huge haul, but losing him was probably going to end up being the biggest one, because he looks like a future superstar and the face of the next era for the Nationals. He's got that type of ability. As far as me, if you guys watch the podcast, this will not come as a surprise to you, but I'm going with Kyle Harrison. And I feel like he may not be flying under the radar anymore, because I think people kind of realize that he's really, really talented. But to me, he looks like the next superstar pitcher to come out of the Giants organization. He is the player that I am most high on as far as a pitcher since Corbin Burns. And we've seen how that's panned out. And I'll tell you, like, when I was at The Athletic, I wrote multiple features about Corbin Burns, about how he was going to be the Brewers' next homegrown superstar, and just that he ended up looking like the real deal. And lo and behold, I mean, that panned out. I mean, as I'm saying this, I probably pull a muscle on my shoulder and my back, pat myself on the back. I understand that, but I am extremely high on Kyle Harrison. I've watched him pitch up close a few times. I've heard what people in the Giants organization have to say about him. And if he harnesses that control, which has been his biggest issue, he is going to be probably their best pitcher since like a Tim Lincecum or a Madison Bumgarner. He's got that type of ability, and I firmly expect him to show out and ball out, and I think it's going to come as early as this year.
I fully agree. You've been on the Harrison train for a while. I was on the D-backs last year. You were on Harrison. So let's stick it out because I do think we're about to finally see that get realized. Next award is for MLB teams that are kind of making it up as they go along. Like, what's the unifying plan here? I'm calling it the I got 50 right here in the cupboard. How about Bisquick? Pimento, gherkin, sauce, Maxwell House award for renaming the baby 7. Is there a plan here, or are we just opening the cupboard and getting whatever comes out? I'm giving it to the St. Louis Cardinals, who I don't think expected Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell to still be available in March when they jumped the line to splurge on Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, and Sonny Gray in November. Now, add in Sonny Gray's hamstring issue, which doesn't seem major, but could knock him off pace for opening day. And it's even more glaring that for whatever reason, they cut the line on some 4s and 5s, paid bargain prices instead of taking chances, even on an Eric Fetty type. Like, they succeeded with Miles Michaelis. You don't want to pay for a KBO MVP? Maybe supplement your rotation a little bit more instead of going with the kids or guys we know are regressing like Gibson and Lynn. And all of a sudden, Monty's still there. You had him. You loved him. You traded him. You could just go grab him. It would certainly be a pivot, and it would certainly feel like scrambling. But I don't know who you've got for this award. You could go with just 7 Costanza named after Mickey Mantle if you really want to.
No, I'll tell you, this is the one to me that was the one I was going to go with. And to be fair to the Cardinals, I don't think anyone necessarily could have seen Snell or Montgomery lasting on the market this long. Like, if you would have told me in December at the winter meetings that Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery would be unsigned as of March 7th, I would have told you that you are absolutely nuts. And here we are now, it's March 7th, and they don't look like they're close to signing. And that is probably the most unexpected development in recent baseball free agents history. And I can't blame the Cardinals for not forecasting that. But that being said, even at the time, it was highly, highly, highly questionable that they jumped the market for Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn. I was skeptical of that at the start. Clearly, they wanted players that, 1, wanted to be in St. Louis, 2, fit the Cardinal way, and 3, would eat innings. And just, they got that. But they could have gotten much more high upside arms than that. And they could have ended up waiting out the market for one of these high-end pitchers here. They could have gotten someone else who maybe on a multi-year deal for the same kind of AAV. It was just really kind of it was a head-scratching move, in my opinion. And it was at the time. It really is now. And it's why I'm not as high on the Cardinals as some people are. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. But I'm really not sure how high their ceiling actually is.
Yet another team that has experienced payroll shrinkage, and they don't even have the same excuse as the Padres.
I was in the pool.
They can't be yelling, I was in the international free agent pool. I was in the international free agent pool. They can't even be yelling that because they're not even dabbling in that market. So, hey, say what you will. Some teams are allocating their resources differently. And that brings me to a quote from that episode. The That Baby is Quite Breathtaking award. Dr. Pfeffer's famous quote, an award given to a team or a player that everybody seems to love, but you cannot tell if they're lying. It could also be called the Some Snuggly Baby award, but I'm going to call it Quite Breathtaking. My answer is the Texas Rangers, because for me, that is the defending world champions. There's a grace period here. We can't get too angry. And I'm not, and I think any fan has to definitely bask in the glory of last season, but that is not nearly enough pitching. This was barely a wild card team last year before everything clicked in October. That offense carried them, obviously. Healthy Max Scherzer last October wasn't even healthy, right? He came back and he still wasn't healthy, Max Scherzer, giving you 3 innings in those crucial starts. Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. Jordan Montgomery was the centerpiece of that rotation. He's gone, still available, but is a full year of Evan Carter, even Wyatt Langford, really the difference there? It could be. But I don't like the staff, and I don't like the owners crying poor about a TV deal after a literal World Series run with all the revenue that brings with it. What about your breathtaking baby or snuggly baby award?
Well, before I dive into what I just said, I've got a lot of problems with what you just said.
Wow.
No, just kidding. I understand your logic. I understand your logic. Especially, I totally agree with you on what you said about the Rangers ownership crying poor with the lack of a TV deal. I think that honestly, very valid, and I would echo those comments. But I still think the Rangers are going to be pretty good, and Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford are going to end up being. This is their first full years of being foundational pieces for them. I'm very high on them. I think they're going to be just fine. But the team for me, and I don't necessarily know if this fits the criteria, because I think there's people who are pessimistic about them, most of them coming from Toronto. But I would go with the Blue Jays in this category. And before I dive into my reasons why, I want to say, Blue Jays fans, I am very sorry for this. I love you guys. I always have. I've made that abundantly clear. But to me, they have some really good young players. Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., to name a few. They got some really talented guys. Rotation has pieces as well. They have a highly talented roster. But when you enter the offseason and you go for Shohei Ohtani, you go for Juan Soto, you go for a lot of these big names, you come up empty, and one of your biggest moves is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, which now looks like an overpay considering the rest of the market. They've ended up adding some other pieces, of course. They've really bolstered their infield depth, adding Vogelbach, Eduardo Escobar, among others. They kept Santiago Espinal. They lost Matt Chapman, so obviously they had to replace the production there. But to me, they just don't look like a team that got better to me. And it's not the players' fault. You can figure out for yourselves who the problem or what the issue is there. I feel bad for Blue Jays fans because they entered this offseason aiming real high. Their hopes were high. They didn't get it. And this team, to me, does not look better. The way that this team gets better, and this is what they're banking on internally, is their internal options really taking the next step. And I think that really starts with Dalton Varsho, because last year that trade looked like a disaster. And if Varsho steps up and some of these other young guys step up and reach their abilities, then I think they could take the next step. But I'm not high on what they did this offseason.
No, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, though, to be fair, at least does sound like the name of one of Kramer's friends of unknown origin. Like Franklin Delano Romanowski, you got Lomas, you've got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I don't know. You met him at the track. I'm not sure where he comes from, but he sounds like somebody who could fit there. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Blue Jays either. It is tough to determine who is going to come in last place in the extremely tough AL East. Like, I don't love the Blue Jays' supposed upgrades. The Rays look a tier lower than last year, but they always manage to piece it together. So who knows? The Red Sox, everyone's down on, but that offense can still mash. And maybe these 5 and fly guys in the rotation can piece it together. Maybe the Yankees collapse. The Orioles are sort of the only team that no one is throwing in the last play right now, right? Everybody thinks 101 wins, probably going to grow on that. But everybody else, I guess, could boom or bust in that division. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jays somehow end up in last. But I'm giving my final award, the George Likes His Chicken Spicy Award, for the MLB team or player that likes to live on the edge, turn your hats back around, feed Tony his sandwiches, talk to the Mimbo, because I am going with the contract year Yankees here. Juan Soto, contract year. Gleyber Torres, contract year. Alex Verdugo, Clay Holmes. Lots of uncertainty there. Only 5 bona fide starters before you get to Luke Weaver and Cody Poteet and Clayton Beater and Will Warren. And one of those 5 starters is Carlos Rodon, whose fastball yesterday looked worse than it did during the 2023 season when he was bad. So I'm not judging spring training results too harshly, but I am saying this team is banking on a rotation that's talented and experienced, but thin, and a lot of players who might be gone next year. They're hoping are trying to have excellent walk years, but maybe the pressure is too much for them. Or maybe they're great and they all price themselves out of the Bronx, and the Yankees, I don't know, losing the ALCS, don't win a title, and can't afford anybody next year. There are plenty of ways where this could go very wonky, or they could just win a ring, I guess. But there's certainly liking their chicken spicy right now. Yankee fans love to joke about expensive chicken tender buckets funding their free agent purchases. That chicken tender bucket is now pretty spicy at this moment in time.
Oh, it's very spicy. And it seems like you've definitely played out every doomsday scenario in your head.
It is possible. The doomsday scenarios I'm feeling good. I like Anthony Volpe's new swing. I really do. He's got the toupee on. He's making everybody forget about last year. Elaine hasn't ripped it off his head yet and chucked it out the window in oncoming traffic. But there's a lot to like in Yankees camp. There really is. But it could certainly all go wrong, or it could get too expensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, both scenarios are very much possible. But that being said, I'm going to go with the Giants here. And it's going to be with their rotation depth, because we've seen a couple of their arms already go down with injuries. And then we've also, I had an evaluator text me the other day saying that they have 2.5 starting pitchers. And obviously Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, and then Jordan Hicks, because he's a reliever converting into a starting pitcher. With his injury history, that seems like a pretty big gamble by the Giants. Clearly they see something that they think he can end up being a starting pitcher, but that is a huge risk. And they're not going to have Alex Cobb until midseason. They're not going to have Robbie Ray until midseason. They've invested a decent amount of resources into this team this offseason, getting Jorge Soler and Matt Chapman, among others. Obviously getting Robbie Ray in that trade. They're going to want to see results this year, and going into the regular season, possibly with this rotation as is, seems like a pretty dangerous proposition. That's why I think, to me, they make sense for a guy like a Michael Lorenzen. I think they have poked around in that market, but they're playing with fire, and you really got to wonder how much more they have left in the offseason, considering that Farhan Zaidi essentially said, or not essentially, he literally did say it, that their offseason at this point is pretty much over, which not great. But so they're definitely playing with fire. And they do, in fact, like their chicken spicy.
That is what I've heard. I think Farhan certainly does. Hey, look, I'm up on the Yankees right now, but I'm realistic about the potential negatives. Either way, though, I will be there opening week because go support the team. And I will be out there supporting the team. I also, good comment, curious whether a team will finally find Blake Snell sponge-worthy. Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy. That is a former minor league baseball player who eventually went on to play a key role in Gilmore Girls, I believe. So there's a little more Seinfeld knowledge for you. I forget his name. He's Luke in Gilmore Girls. But either way, ex-Yankees minor league farmhand, we are right back around to baseball.
Yes, we are. Boy, oh boy. I mean, the way you just spun that back into baseball is remarkable. But by the way, Josh W., I think that might be the comment of the day, because finding Snell sponge-worthy was not on my docket at all for the day. I think that is literally just perfect. So shout out to you for that comment.
Agreed. And shout out to producer Sean. Scott Patterson is the actor / former baseball player's name. I knew it. It's not at the tip of my tongue. I could pretend that it was. It was not. Well, thanks for playing along with us, everybody. Thanks for helping us live out our dream. Robert, anything non-Seinfeld related or Seinfeld related still in the notebook that we need to address before end of show? I'm assuming, though, based on the way that the market is developing, not so much.
No, literally, I've got nothing too crazy right now. I will be making a lot of phone calls the rest of the day, though. I can confidently say that, as I will be having a notebook coming out tomorrow on fansided.com. So I will be sharing that when that is posted tomorrow. You guys will be able to check that out. And then I'm sure that'll be the topic of discussion on next week's show. Don't know if it's going to be Monday. We will let you guys know about that. And in the Discord, we will let you know about that as well. But yeah, we appreciate you. Adam Weinrib, Seinfeld show finally happened, my friend. We love it.
We did it. We do love it. Look, the offseason's been so slow that sometimes I do feel like Kramer at Brant Leland looking across the desk going, I don't even really work here. Like, I don't honestly know if I do work here because no moves are being made. MLB offseason kind of feels like the Ukraine, right? The Ukraine is weak. Man, I don't know. We can keep doing this. Somebody, when we mentioned we were going to do this, was like, just do the whole scene where Jerry's talking to the naked guy on the train about the Mets. Like, pitching, they got pitching. They have no hitting. Or whatever. And that's a great scene. And everybody should take the train down to Coney Island someday in hopes that you end up across from an overweight naked man who happens to have a newspaper in a very appropriate position to cover up what's behind their And just talking Mets baseball, talking Dwight Gooden during the nadir of his peak. Comment section wants us to mention the Cubs. They're even giving us a please. Should I just say Cubs? I'll say Cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything new about the Cubs. I've heard different things, but nothing that I'm able to confidently say because I don't want to mislead anyone. But that I'm hoping I can have maybe something to mention about the Cubs tomorrow in the notebook. So maybe stay tuned for that. Who knows?
Love the notebook, your column and the movie. Everybody should read that because that's where you to get the info. We do our best on this show, but everything that does not go into the show goes into the notebook. And then we talk about it on the show anyway. It's sort of a notebook show ecosystem. Did I just reinvent podcasting? #genius. Well, thank you for joining us today for this absurd 40 minutes of podcasting. My internet worked, I guess. So that's pretty cool.
Proud of you.
Yeah, proud of me too. Proud of Verizon, Fios. Not sponge-worthy on Monday. Kind of sponge-worthy today. I don't have a square to spare for Verizon Fios, but they did come through for me today, and we thank them. Baseball Insider's the code. If you don't have a DraftKings account yet, now is the time. We will see everybody back here next week. Subscribe, hit the like button so you turn on your alerts. You'll know when we're live. We would love if you could join our community. Mash that keypad. Absolutely go to town on your keyboard or your mobile device. Make sure that you let us know that you want to be here with us. We appreciate it. For Robert Murray, I am Adam Weinrib. We will catch you right back here next week.
Thank you, everybody.